The concept of renting a wife in Thailand is a complex and unsettling phenomenon that has garnered significant attention in recent years. This practice, often disguised as a cultural tradition, involves temporary marriages where men, often foreigners, pay a fee to have a woman act as their wife for a predetermined period. While this may seem like a harmless arrangement on the surface, the reality is far more insidious, often masking exploitation, human trafficking, and a blatant disregard for human rights. This video delves into the disturbing truth behind wife for rent in Thailand, exposing the societal norms that perpetuate it and the devastating consequences for those involved. At its core, the practice preys on vulnerable individuals, primarily women from impoverished backgrounds, who are lured by the promise of financial stability and a better life. The allure of escaping poverty and supporting their families often blinds them to the potential dangers that lie ahead. These women are often subjected to a range of abuses, including sexual exploitation, forced labor, and emotional manipulation, all under the guise of a contractual agreement. The practice thrives in the shadows, fueled by a culture of silence and a lack of awareness about the true nature of these arrangements. The practice of renting a wife in Thailand is often justified as a cultural tradition. Proponents argue that it is a form of contractual agreement that has been practiced for centuries, providing financial support for women and companionship for men. However, this narrative masks the stark reality of exploitation and abuse that underpins these arrangements. The romanticized notion of a harmonious exchange ignores the power imbalances and the lack of agency experienced by the women involved. Traditional Thai culture places a strong emphasis on family values, respect for elders, and social harmony. These values, while admirable, are often manipulated to justify practices that are inherently exploitative. The concept of saving face plays a significant role in silencing victims and perpetuating the cycle of abuse. Women who speak out against their abusers risk bringing shame upon their families and communities, making them reluctant to seek help or justice. This culture of silence allows perpetrators to operate with impunity, further entrenching the practice within society. The human cost of the wife for rent phenomenon in Thailand is immeasurable. Behind the seemingly transactional nature of these arrangements lie countless stories of exploitation, abuse, and shattered lives. Women who enter into these agreements often find themselves trapped in situations where they are subjected to a range of abuses, including physical, sexual, and emotional violence. They are often treated as property, their basic human rights violated with impunity. Many of these women come from impoverished backgrounds, often from rural villages with limited access to education and economic opportunities. They are lured by the promise of financial stability, not only for themselves, but also for their families back home. The burden of poverty and the desire to provide for their loved ones make them vulnerable to the manipulations of traffickers and those who profit from their exploitation. They are often isolated from their support systems, making them more susceptible to control and abuse. The wife for rent industry in Thailand is not merely a matter of cultural practices or romantic arrangements. It is a lucrative business driven by profit and exploitation. The economic factors that fuel this industry are complex and multifaceted, involving a network of actors who benefit from the commodification of women. These actors range from local agents and brokers who recruit women from vulnerable communities to international dating websites and agencies that facilitate these arrangements for foreign men seeking companionship or, more often, sexual gratification. The financial transactions involved in renting a wife often involve a complex web of payments, with a significant portion of the money going to intermediaries rather than the women themselves. Women are often promised a certain sum of money, but in reality, they receive only a fraction of it, with the rest being siphoned off by those who control their movements and finances. They are often forced to work long hours, performing domestic duties, accompanying their husbands to social events, and engaging in sexual acts, all without proper compensation or labor protections.